Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger. So, fighting game characters. Let's talk about them. A fighting game character can come in any shape, any size, have any background, right? We have the proud fight man who enters a tournament. If it is a tournament, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Depends on the game. But seeks to further improve themselves through combat, right? Sometimes we have the evil fight man who seeks to conquer and pillage, and sometimes people fight just because of a lot of weird family issues and hang-ups that may or may not involve a lot of volcanoes. Sometimes, however, though, there is fighting game characters that are just a bit odder than the rest. Now, it could be through their look, it could be through how they act in-game, it could be through their backstory, and that's what this video, and maybe a series, I don't know yet, is all about, the ridiculous history of certain fighting game characters. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Bridget from Guilty Gear. So just who is Bridget? It's this guy! And yes, I do mean guy. Now, Bridget himself would be the first one to tell you that he is all man, so hey, just so you know. Now, before we get into Bridget's crazy backstory here, let's talk a little bit about the character. So, Bridget is from England, and like all proud English people, fights with the traditional weapons of the country. And no, I'm not talking the bill and the longbow, obviously I'm talking about the yo-yo and the mechanical bear that is possessed by a ghost. It just is, don't question it. Now, despite these weapons being obviously pretty unconventional, Bridget makes fantastic use of them. Bridget can control a lot of space with the yo-yo, both just using the length of the yo-yo rope to smack someone in the noggin with it, to placing it in various parts of the screen, and being able to give it all sorts of commands and tricks from there. And also, when the yo-yo is on the screen, that's when the teddy bear Roger can be summoned. And Roger is not a nice guy. Roger will punch you in the face, he'll summon buzzsaws to rip you in half, and just all in all ruin your day. Not to mention the fact Bridget is basically the ultimate master of the yo-yo and can pull the ultimate trick, which is attaching the enemy to the yo-yo and literally launching them past Earth's atmosphere, into space, into the moon. Besides the weaponry, Bridget is dressed as a nun, for whatever reason. They've not really ever gone into much detail, and also has a male fertility symbol on the head of the habit, just to prove how much of a man Bridget is. Bridget also rocks a literal giant steel handcuff around his waist, as I can only assume it was the style at the time. Now, when Guilty Gear X2 came out in the early 2000s, Bridget caused quite a commotion. This androgynous style of character was certainly not a thing at the time. Now, in the modern day and going into the modern day, this character type, I guess, has become more popular. Arc System Works would introduce another style of this kind of character with Amane in the Blaze Blue series, and in popular culture, this kind of character just is getting more popular. Now, with all that said, let's talk about the actual plot behind Bridget. What is Bridget's motivation? So, Bridget was born in a small English town, a superstitious town, and was born as a twin. And in this town, they kind of had the logic that, hey, if you're born twins of the same gender, for some reason that's just a bad deal, and that one of the two twins has to be either killed or driven off. Bridget, thankfully, had loving parents, didn't want to deal with that mess, so raised Bridget as a girl as to not really raise any suspicions. Now, Bridget, for the most part, hey, played along, right? Didn't want to deal with this whole superstitious village ruining the family and killing either him or his brother. So, played along with it, was raised as a girl, acted like a girl, all that kind of stuff growing up. However, began to resent it just a little bit and wanted to prove to the village, hey, this superstition is a load of crap, and basically set off and wanted to earn a lot of money to prove, hey, I am valuable, I can do stuff, and I'm not some cursed kid. And thus, Bridget kind of fell into the role of bounty hunter. And also on the side, it would seem apparent that Bridget also wanted to prove his masculinity. Now, Bridget's big bounty was to find a gear. Now, gears are a whole other thing, whole other mess. Gears can be almost anything in Guilty Gear. and Bridget set off to the wide world to find a gear to get a bounty on. Now, ultimately, Bridget's effort was kind of a failure, not really pulling in the bounties, but in the usual anime way, experienced, the joys of friendship and all that kind of stuff, and also was unfortunately definitely sexually harassed by Johnny. Johnny is problematic, I guess that's the term the kids use these days, so we'll just leave it at that. Now, once again, ultimately the bounty hunter job becomes mostly a bust. However, Bridget feels pretty okay with what happened, and he feels like he's proved his masculinity to himself. So the next thing up on the chain here is Bridget wants to be an entertainer and just go around entertaining people. However, Bridget feels like he needs a partner, and unfortunately sets his sight on Eno, who is the evil villainess of the series. So that doesn't go too well either. And for the most part, that's kind of where the plot thread ends for Bridget. Bridget, unfortunately, has not been in the later games in the series, the ac+r series. Other characters have returned for those games, but Bridget was kind of missing in action. In popularity polls, Bridget consistently ranks as one of the highest ranked, if not the highest ranked character in terms of popularity. So, will Bridget make a return to later games in the series? We have Guilty Gear Strive coming out later this year, as of the time of me making this video. I'd say there's a solid chance. Bridget has a very fun playstyle that is absolutely unique that you can't really find anywhere else in any other game. So I think Bridget would make a fantastic addition to the Strive cast. And hey, once again, Bridget, he's a popular character, so I say hey, bring him aboard. Now, just how strong is Bridget? Well, the game has a sort of lore-inclusive way of rating it. In the X2 series, there's a faction called the Post-War Administration Bureau, and they rate everyone. So hey, let's have a look here. So Bridget is 158 centimeters in height, 50 kilograms. Birthday is October 26th, blood type O, English, obviously enough. And as for the rating, these folks are not too kind. This individual was a bounty hunter for a time and poses such an insignificant threat that he is barely worth mentioning on this list. Pretty rough, to say the least, right? Nevertheless, we're mentioning him due to the fact that he is from a very wealthy family and, though he tries to hide it, is searching for a command-type gear. Although Dizzy's death, and Dizzy's a very important character in this franchise, the command-type gear mentioned above has been reported and confirmed. This individual seems to be of the opinion that she is still alive. This could lead to serious complications if he knows Dizzy's whereabouts. This individual was raised as a girl, although he is actually a boy, due to a superstition concerning twins. We may be able to use this unique upbringing to our advantage, should we wish to control him. He has mastered a unique fighting style that utilizes yo-yos, and is a reasonably accomplished bounty hunter, but doesn't merit much mention in this report. We give this individual a risk rating of D, and D, by the way, is the lowest rating anyone in this game gets. So while Bridget definitely has a very unique fighting style in-game, what with the yo-yos and the teddy bears, Bridget, in terms of the lore, is not really considered too much of a threat compared to the real movers and shakers like Saul Bad Guy or Dizzy. And just with some final trivia to leave you off, why Bridget? Well, when the character was originally being made, Daisuke Ishiwatari, the creator of the Guilty Gear franchise, wanted some more cute characters, to balance out the tough and the cool characters. However, just another cute character wasn't enough. We already have someone like Mei, who's right on the screen right now. So we needed something else besides just being cute. And thus, hey, Bridget wound up being a guy instead. Daisuke very surprised, however, that Bridget kind of got the following that he did, all things considered. That a lot of the fan base still found Bridget, very cute and cool, despite the fact that he was a guy. And you know what? In that regard, I guess he's 100% right. Interesting designs tend to lead to characters having a shelf life past their initial games. Bridget is still one of the most requested characters for Guilty Gear Strive, which is the game coming up. And with the big fan base, I think it's a very solid chance Bridget makes it in. Bridget, being a cross-dressing roller derby nun, has given him legs other characters don't get, right? So Bridget may be included in the new game, whereas someone like, say, poor old ABBA might not make it in. But yeah, my friends, that's just a bit of an overview on Bridget. Definitely a ridiculous character in the land of fighting games, which is already chock full of ridiculous characters. So hey, let me know in the comments if you like this video and if you want to see more videos in this style. Fighting games are full of there's just tons of ridiculous characters on so many levels. Be it just what they're about, what their plot is, what their motivation is, all that kind of stuff. Fighting games are really good breeding grounds for crazy characters, to say the least. And with all that said, my friends, I guess that is the end of this video. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this video has found you well, and hey, go out and play some fighting games.